Every time you ask an AI to, write a simple line of code or generate a quick summary for a meeting, somewhere in the world, a utility company is having to totally rewrite its 10-year plan for pouring concrete and burning nuclear fuel.
It is wild to think about it like that, yeah.
Right. Welcome to this custom deep dive. We are taking a massive stack of information today and trying to extract those hidden signals buried in all the noise.
And there's a lot of noise out there right now.
Oh, for sure. Because it is Monday, July 6, 2026. You're likely just easing back into your routine after the long 4th of July weekend. Wall Street is kind of rubbing its eyes after its first full trading session, and you were probably just trying to get your inbox under control.
It's that classic midsummer moment, right, where the world feels like it's maybe moving at half speed.
Yeah, exactly.
But beneath that quiet surface, the momentum is actually staggering.
It really is. We have a broad sweep of today's current landscape in front of us, drawn from the Daily Tech Reader 4 p.m. news brief. And at first glance, it just looks like a bunch of disconnected headlines. You've got software updates, power grids, global news.
Just the usual mixed bag.
Right. But our mission today is to connect those dots. We're going to reveal one massive hidden narrative. We are living through a silent, incredibly heavy physical industrial revolution.
Yeah, heavy is definitely the word for it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand where we are right now, we have to look at how your daily workflow is fundamentally changing. The overarching theme in the data today is that the honeymoon phase of artificial intelligence, it's officially over.
It really is. The language in the business world has entirely shifted.
How so?
Well, the data shows a massive pivot away from experimentation and directly into practical implementation.
So no more just playing around with chatbots.
Exactly. AI features are no longer the flashy new toy a company buys just to look innovative. Those tools are now just standard built-in features across all business software. It is foundational infrastructure now.
Which is a massive psychological shift.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me think about how the dot-com boom matured into the modern internet,
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, like in 1999, having a website was this cool, speculative experiment. But by 2005, if you didn't have e-commerce integrated into your actual physical supply chain, you simply didn't survive.
Right. It wasn't magic anymore.
Exactly. It was just the plumbing. And looking at the numbers today, AI is the new plumbing.
What's fascinating here is how that realization changes what companies are willing to pay for.
Because it's plumbing now.
Yeah, because it's plumbing, the core metric for employers isn't the wow factor anymore. It is pure productivity. Businesses are measuring AI success through strict operational results.
So they want actual ROI.
Right. For instance, the data points heavily to AI coding assistants. And these aren't just, glorified spell checkers for software engineers anymore.
Right. And I want to pause on that because the mechanism of how this works is so crucial.
Yeah, it's totally different now.
A few years ago, an AI might suggest a line of code to a developer. Now, according to the current landscape, these assistants are actively reshaping software engineering by taking on actual production workloads.
Building the structure, testing it.
Yeah, testing the code, deploying it, and the human acts more like a supervisor.
Precisely. The AI executes and the human reviews. But that dynamic introduces a very interesting tension into the workforce.
Which brings me to something I actually have to push back on.
Okay, let's hear it.
The data says companies are demanding extreme productivity and operational efficiency from these tools. But at the same time, we are seeing a massive emphasis on continuous human learning and creativity as competitive advantages.
Right,
It seems contradictory. Wait, if companies are just demanding brutal, machine-like productivity, why are they also relying on and paying a premium for human creativity?
Yeah.
How do you even measure the ROI on creativity when your main goal is AI efficiency? Are we just becoming robot managers?
Well, it seems like a contradiction until you look at how these tools actually function in the wild.
Okay.
Think about it like this. The AI can generate 1,000 variations of a marketing campaign or 1,000 ways to solve a logistics problem in 3 seconds.
Right.
But it has no idea which of those 1,000 variations actually resonates with human psychology or which one aligns with the brand's subtle values.
Oh. So it lacks taste.
Exactly. It lacks taste, context, and intuition. So what the market is showing us is that AI skills are increasing in value precisely because human curation is the new bottleneck.
You can't just plug the AI in and walk away.
No, you need human judgment to direct the tool. That is why the culture section of today's brief notes that innovation is complementing rather than replacing traditional creative work.
So the human element is still vital.
Absolutely. Markets are rewarding execution rather than speculation now.
Okay, so we have this invisible, incredibly smart digital plumbing that is boosting productivity across the board. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Because it's not actually invisible.
Right. This digital cloud isn't actually in the sky. We think of AI as this weightless, ethereal brain floating out there in the digital ether.
Which is such a misconception.
Totally. Because when you look at the physical investment data, the biggest aha moment is that this digital brain is incredibly heavy. It is made of concrete, steel, and nuclear power.
It is intensely physical.
Mm.
The numbers show that data center construction is currently one of the absolute largest areas of technology investment in the country.
Wow.
We aren't just talking about a few warehouses. We are talking about colossal, sprawling campuses designed to house tens of thousands of servers alongside massive edge computing deployments.
Okay, let's clarify that real quick for anyone who hasn't been, poring over network architecture all weekend. When we say edge computing, we just mean bringing the physical computing power closer to the user.
Saw it on, yeah.
So if a self-driving car needs to make a split-second decision, it can't wait for a signal to travel to a mega data center 3 states away and then come back. The computer needs to be on the edge of the network, physically closer to the car.
That is exactly it. And whether you are building a mega campus or thousands of smaller edge computing sites, all of that physical hardware requires an astronomical amount of electricity.
I can imagine.
AI data centers are driving long-term electricity demand to the point that it is forcing utility companies to drastically reshape their entire 10-year plans.
And this leads to a massive physical ripple effect. I mean, we aren't just building data centers. We are having to rebuild the actual power grid to support them.
Yeah, the grid modernization projects are huge right now.
We are seeing accelerated investment in transmission lines and a huge renewed focus on battery storage and nuclear energy.
Right, and the key concept there is baseload power.
Wait, for those of us not in the energy sector, baseload power just means the grid needs a massive amount of power that is always on, right? Like
Yeah.
247, which wind and solar can't always guarantee because, the wind eventually stops blowing and the sun sets.
Exactly. You cannot have your enterprise AI, which we just established is the foundational plumbing of the global economy, go down just because a storm rolled in.
Right, that would be a disaster.
These data centers require massive, uninterrupted 247 power, and that is why capital investment is pouring into what is being called productive infrastructure.
So it's not just the software.
No, it's the physical energy grid.
Yeah.
And it's the physical manufacturing of the semiconductors themselves, which is driving major domestic industrial growth.
So we are literally pouring millions of tons of concrete and laying high voltage lines just so that an AI coding assistant can help a developer write a piece of software 5 minutes faster.
When you put it like that, it sounds crazy, but yes.
It is wild to think about. But I have to challenge this trajectory because we hear constant reports about climate adaptation.
Oh, absolutely. The heat waves.
Yeah, the data today highlights the Southwest dealing with extreme summer heat, the central U.S. facing severe storms, and European heat waves actively challenging their infrastructure.
It's a huge strain on the system.
So how can the tech industry possibly reconcile its massive brand new electricity appetite with global climate goals and stressed power grids? Aren't they on a collision course?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we see that energy security and the digital economy are now the exact same thing.
Oh, interesting.
The tech giants realize they are on a collision course. They know that if they break the local power grid, their entire business model collapses. Their servers go dark.
So they are forced to become energy companies, in a way, just to keep the lights on for their own servers.
Precisely. That is why grid resilience is now a top investment priority for the tech industry itself, not just traditional utility companies. They are pouring money into materials, science research, battery storage, and alternative energy, even things like fusion energy research, trying to find a way to power this revolution without melting down the grid.
The system is desperately trying to adapt to its own growth.
It really is.
Okay, so we've got the plumbing installed, we've poured the concrete for the data centers, we're modernizing the grid, and we're securing the nuclear power to get the electricity flowing. So what does this all mean?
Right, the application side.
Yeah, what are we actually doing with all this computing power out there in the real world, and where is it causing friction? Because anytime you build something this massive, it's going to hit some speed bumps.
It certainly is. But before we look at the friction, let's look at the frontiers, because the mechanisms of how this technology is being applied are incredible.
It's not all just writing emails.
No. AI is accelerating scientific research in ways we haven't seen before, particularly in precision medicine and cancer research.
And the mechanism there is fascinating. I used to think of AI drug discovery as just a really fast calculator.
A lot of people do.
But it's actually more like having a billion digital interns trying every possible combination of a microscopic lock at the exact same time.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it.
Right, like it can simulate how millions of different chemical compounds will fold and interact with a specific cancer cell, all in a matter of hours, rather than a human doing it over decades in a lab.
Exactly. And that same acceleration is happening in space exploration, with NASA continuing its Artemis mission preparations. We are unlocking entirely new capabilities.
But when you build a massive complex system, like a new highway, you eventually get massive complicated pileups. The friction is very real.
It is, and governance frameworks are desperately trying to catch up. The regulatory landscape is, to put it mildly, messy.
Extremely messy. The current landscape reports on a major legal milestone recently. Florida has become the first state to officially sue OpenAI over ChatGPT safety failure.
Which is a huge development.
Yeah, and completely impartially, regardless of the merits of that specific lawsuit, the fact that a state government is taking a foundational AI company to court proves that our existing legal systems are actively colliding with this technology.
This raises an important question about how we govern foundational infrastructure in the modern age. And part of the complexity is the rise of multimodal AI capabilities.
Right, and when we say multimodal, we're talking about AI that doesn't just read and write text anymore.
Right, it's much more than that.
It can see video, analyze live audio, generate realistic images, and interact with the physical world, right?
Exactly. And because it can interact with the world in so many different ways, the potential for unforeseen safety failures or copyright infringement or security breaches, it just multiplies exponentially.
So the states are stepping in.
Yeah, because oversight is having to evolve just as fast as the tech itself. How do governments balance rapid economic growth with national security and public safety?
And what's wild is that all of this technological advancement isn't happening in a vacuum. It is happening on a planet that is still dealing with very old, very physical human conflicts.
Yeah, the contrast is stark.
The data gives us this incredible, almost jarring split-screen effect.
It really does. On one hand, you have boundless digital innovation. On the other hand, you have stark geopolitical realities.
Right. We have AI solving protein folding in the cloud, but on the ground, the data notes that military operations between Ukraine and Russia are continuing.
Geopolitics doesn't pause for tech.
No, it doesn't. We see U.S.-Iran peace talks reaching a tentative agreement regarding the Strait of Hormuz. And then there's the detail about federal authorities uncovering a 2,000-foot physical drug tunnel connecting Mexico to the U.S.
It is a striking contrast.
It really is. I want to linger on that for a second because it tells us so much about the world right now.
How so?
Well, you have tech giants spending billions on edge computing to bypass digital borders and beam data anywhere in milliseconds. And literally underneath that, you have human beings using shovels and concrete to dig a 2,000-foot physical tunnel under a terrestrial border to move contraband.
The physical world versus the digital one?
Exactly. Or you look at the Strait of Hormuz, a massive choke point for global oil shipments. Why does a physical oil choke point still matter in the age of quantum computing?
Because of the energy demand we talked about.
Right, because this entire digital revolution still requires physical ships moving physical energy to power those heavy concrete data centers. It really makes you wonder, with governments literally suing AI companies and nations fighting over physical borders and resources, is this technology actually uniting the globe, or is it just giving us entirely new terrain to fight over?
I think the reality is that the technology doesn't magically erase geopolitical friction. It just raises the stakes.
That makes sense.
That is why the data repeatedly emphasizes that cybersecurity remains among the absolute highest enterprise priorities globally.
The digital realm is the new battleground.
It is. But crucially, it also provides the tools for global resilience.
What do you mean?
Well, because despite the conflicts, the European heat waves, the legal battles, the global systems are actually holding.
They haven't broken yet.
Exactly. International trade remains remarkably resilient. Cross-border investment continues. Advanced manufacturing is expanding internationally.
So the system is adapting.
Right. The world is heavily interconnected. And while the friction is loud, the overarching system from international shipping to humanitarian efforts to something as unifying as the World Cup capturing global attention keeps moving forward.
Man, it is a massive amount to digest, especially for a sleepy post-holiday Monday.
It's a lot for one morning.
It is. We started today looking at a moment where you, the listener, are probably just trying to get back to your normal routine, checking emails, maybe catching up on those World Cup scores. But beneath the surface of that normal routine, we've traced an incredible hidden narrative.
We really have. We've gone from the realization that AI is no longer a science experiment, but the mandatory plumbing of the global economy.
A new baseline.
Right. We've explored how that invisible software actually requires a massive, incredibly heavy physical footprint, demanding new data centers, new nuclear power facilities, and entirely modernized grids.
And we've seen how that infrastructure is pushing the boundaries of human knowledge in science and medicine, while simultaneously triggering unprecedented legal battles and colliding with old-world geopolitics.
And that is exactly why this matters to you. Because this isn't just an abstract story for tech CEOs or Wall Street analysts.
This hits closer to home.
Absolutely. If you are looking to upskill in your career to stay competitive, you are ninja-gating this AI shift. If you are wondering why your local utility company is suddenly tearing up the road to upgrade power lines, or why your electricity bill might be shifting, you are feeling the physical footprint of this revolution.
It's everywhere.
Every time you stream a movie, interact with a smart device, or rely on a modernized supply chain, this unseen infrastructure is actively shaping your world.
It is the silent physical industrial revolution happening right in plain sight. And it leaves me with one final thought to mull over as we wrap up today's deep dive.
All right, let's hear it.
We spent a lot of time today talking about platform reliability, cybersecurity, and baseload power. We firmly established that AI is now foundational infrastructure, just like our water pipes and our power lines.
Right, the plumbing.
Yeah, the plumbing. Now, we all know exactly what happens to society when the power goes out in a major city, right?
Traffic stops, commerce halts, panic sets in.
Exactly. But if AI is truly the new plumbing of the modern world, deeply embedded in our healthcare, our software, and our energy grids, what happens to society on the very first day a major nationwide AI utility suffers a complete, sustained blackout?
Wow. Now that is a sobering thought for a Monday morning.
Something to think about while you wait for that second cup of coffee to brew. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.